And we will fly through the slides because we will send those by email, so don't worry, we will be very brief. So I will quickly introduce you to the membership. First overview. So as you know, just one moment, I need to habilitate list. Okay. So as you know, we launched COFSA in October 2022, and together with the manifesto, with the alliance. This is the Menti, Luz. We need to show the slides first. Let me check. So maybe I will
can
share
share your screen, maybe, Noemi, if you like.
Yes. Yeah. Okay. So here we are. Okay, so here we are. Yes, an overview regarding the membership. So as I was saying, we opened the application to become a members in October 22, when we publicly launched the alliance and we published the manifesto and the rationale for action. So the membership, as you know, is individual, so we don't require organizational endorsement. And as you can see, we reached out the number of 188 members. And on the right side hand, you can see the type of stakeholders. We have aggregated information, so we divide into international level, which comprehends academia, donors, UN agency, global NGOs and development agency, and then the local level, which is more grassroots NGO, indigenous and local communities, farmers and food producers, government, and then finally the companies, individual consultant. Then from the expertise part, so on the right hand side, we have divided them into 3 categories. So we have food and agriculture, which accounts nearly the 55%. Then we have the conscious and sustainable development expert, which is the 20%. And then finally, we have the other, which is a broad category that includes sustainability experts that work in the field of climate change, environment, health, education, networks, finance, and businesses. And then finally, on the geographical representation, you can see the percentage, we are still predominantly from Europe, but we have an increasing membership from the African countries, so we are growing as well also in Asia. So our focus for the next months will be really to concentrate our work to reach out key grassroots network in order to be a bit more balanced. So this is just some of the COFSA members that shared with us the logo. And if you are happy to share with us the logo, you can just email me and we will put on the COFSA website. Then I will pass the word to Charlotte that will briefly explain about the strategic retreat that we hold in April. Thank you.
Thank you, Noemi. Yes, so we held the first COFSA strategic retreat in person, which was good after all these Zoom calls. We had about 40 to 50 participants join from around the world, really, for 3 days of encounter. We were in Devon, in Schumacher College on Dartington Estate, a beautiful place. And so 38 people, exactly, including 7 that were supported by COFSA. And the objectives, as you see here, were to really shape the strategy and the work plan for the next 2 years, with priority work streams, flagship programs, interventions, brainstorm a bit about fundraising. Also an opportunity to facilitate exchange of knowledge, learning and inspiration on conscious food systems, develop collaborations and partnerships. There were lots of connecting happening, and to cultivate our own inner capacities. So we really try to embody what COFSA is about, with opening rituals guided by our friends from indigenous nations. We also had a systemic constellation, which was a really powerful exercise for us to kind of feel what are the dynamics within COFSA. It's quite a special technique, mindful nature walks, and with many members contributing to creating a very special space. So here you see some of the photographs, lots of brainstorms, and also a beautiful visit to this very inspiring agroecological farm in Schumacher College. So that's a few images and wonderful feedback. I think everybody felt it was a very powerful event. You can read some of the quotes here. So I think a call for more, appreciating that there were very diverse people there. Agenda seemed to have worked well, but we do feel that we want to have a more diverse representation, and so we're actually thinking also of regional events for the future. But yeah, it really inspired us to do more, and we were delighted that many of the participants felt that it was much more than a planning retreat. It was really something that enriched their own practice. And just now, a friend was sharing in the small group how these practices have stayed with her since. So a very rich event for many. And I think I pass over to Thomas, who will share with us how the recommendations from the retreat were digested into strategic priorities.
Thanks, Charlotte. Maybe before, I'm wondering if someone will join the retreat, some of you, maybe Thomas, I think, Thomas Mogg, if you'd like to share with the group a bit how it was for you before we move to the next slide.
Yeah, pleasure to do so. Well, you know, I come from a fairly technical surrounding, and all of a sudden you meet at that place and you are surrounded by peace and love. And that in very dire times. I mean, we could all be quite bitter and sour of the way things are going, but the energy was completely different. It was really as if we collectively connected with the source, and basically by strengthening ourselves and our community, fill up the energy level and go back to where we work and what we do, and try and work as a movement that is aligned and that has found really a common heart space, I would say. So for me, it was a life-changing 3 days. I'm very happy, and there are no coincidences that I came to COFSA, although I would consider myself from a skills background, I would consider myself somewhat of an outsider, but from a heart perspective, I'm not an outsider at all. So it was extremely well organized. I think I've already told you, Noemi and Alice, it was very different than what I've ever experienced before. And I'm very happy I went there, and I'm very happy that I met all of you. So for me, is profoundly touched me at a very personal level.
Thank you very much, Thomas, for your sharing. That's very nourishing for us to hear. And yeah, I think we all feel that it was very special to finally meet. And the way we engage in COFSA, we should have more in-person events, because something happens that it's difficult to convey if you don't experience that. Maybe we can hear from Claudia also, who was with us during the retreat. Thank you, Thomas, again.
Yes, of course. I'm very happy to share my experience. Seriously, to me, there is a before COFSA strategic retreat and a after, both personally and professionally, because it was the first time that I had the chance to stay focused on the inner dimension and all the tools related to the mindset, which is something that comes before all the models I used to work on, like the integral ecology model or the Mediterranean lifestyle model that we are developing in the south of Italy, where we will host part of COFSA members. So I definitely understood the power of being focused on this inner dimension and to connect with all the community. So also the claim of the Schumacher College that OSI does, soul, society and soil, was very powerful to me, so that when I came back, I integrated all the COFSA principles in the action plan of the Future Food Institute. I'm in charge of the social mission, so I could be very transversal to all the 3 pillars of the Institute, which are education, innovation, and community. So thanks a lot for changing the perspective, the lens that I see the reality through.
Thank you, Claudia. It's very energizing for us to hear about your experience. Maybe we have some slides to go through, to some more updates to share, and we can get back to the slide. But yeah, thanks really for sharing. It really resonates. So from this strategic retreat, we didn't have really the time there to learn on. I mean, we identified some priorities. If you can bring back the slides, Noemi. Yes, then we discussed it internally in the team. We have also our inner council in COFSA, which we discussed these insights with them, and we kind of package that into 3 main strategic priorities. The first one being to establish the role of consciousness for food systems transformation, which especially through developing and promoting a shared and diverse narrative on conscious food systems. So we have some ideas about that, maybe, to give you the voice about, what's your view on the role of consciousness for food systems transformation. Build also the evidence basis through research and learning activities and products. We now have a research COFSA research group that is emerging, and we're developing a research agenda, etc. The second big priority is really build the movement and especially empower COFSA members. Really, COFSA should really happen through you. So, and as we just said, the role of in-person events to build connections, to build, the willingness to collaborate together is really important, and there may be different formats for that. We are piloting at the moment, as we will say, conscious food systems leadership curriculum, which would be an introduction to COFSA, and we think that's really important to have a common basis on for this agenda among us. So we hope to be able to invite you to receive these to be part of this program. We are also thinking about developing tools and information systems, databases, online library to facilitate resource sharing and learning. We want also to have a more decentralized approach. We want to bring that into the region, maybe through some COFSA regional labs, where in 1 week we discussed, what COFSA mean in this regional context and what we could do together. And the third strategic priority is about implementation. So we will talk today a little bit about the call for proposal, the challenge fund that we are putting in place based on our incubator of projects. How to integrate then amplify impacts through integration of COFSA into larger programs, and develop and deliver trainings to key food systems stakeholders. So these are some strategic priorities. We're happy to hear your views on that after. And I'll pass it to Alice, I imagine, for the COFSA work plan.
Yes, thank you, Thomas. So I'll just go over some of the upcoming pieces of our work plan. And as we had on that slide before, a really nice quote from Vandana Shiva, who Thomas and I saw speaking at a conference hosted by Compassion in World Farming recently. Care and compassion feed the world. So that's a nice little message for us to take forward. So on to the next one. So here's just an overview of some of the main kind of work streams that we have. Obviously, there's the community of practice and learning, which we are in right now. And we have our ongoing series of events with the collective inquiry series, practice sessions, action groups. And I'm sure you've been receiving lots of information on that by the newsletter and other communications. We've just had our strategic retreat, and we'll also be soon launching the Indigenous Wisdom Dialogue series, which we'll go into a bit more detail on in a moment. We have our ongoing communications through the newsletter, the case studies, blogs and articles. And as ever, if you have a case study from your work or your experiences that you think is, really relevant for this, for COFSA, then please do reach out and share that with us. We're always keen to keep building that case study collection. And then I'll speak in a moment about the Challenge Fund to help move forward the implementation through interventions of COFSA. And we also have some training programs which we're moving forward, as well as a research work stream and our ongoing efforts to fundraise and mobilize resources to keep doing this work and keep expanding and growing. So we can go to the next slide, please. Thank you. Okay, so the COFSA Challenge Fund. So some of you will have heard about this for quite a few months now. We've been working for a good 6 months or so to try and get this launched, but we are confident that it should be online by the end of June, so very shortly, in the next week or so. And the objective of the Challenge Fund is to create a space to test and demonstrate how consciousness approaches can be integrated into these food systems initiatives to cultivate inner capacities, and also to generate a set of learnings and learning resources to be shared amongst the community and facilitate that exchange of learning and knowledge. So this Challenge Fund will support approximately 4 interventions, and the grants will be around $20,000 per intervention. Well, these are approximate because it doesn't have to be exactly 20,000. Of course, it's tailored to the intervention itself. And these will be selected through a competitive call for proposals. And these, we've tried to keep the kind of criteria for this really open. So these can target stakeholders at local, regional, or global levels, or be multi-country and delivered online. It's really a very sort of flexible criteria, and applicants can be based in any location. So it's really an invitation. If you have been inspired through being part of this alliance and there's things you'd really love to do in your country, in your project, with your stakeholders, then this is a perfect window to submit an idea and sort of move into that experimentation and testing. So we're really excited to open this. We'll be sending out more information by email and on the website as soon as it's online. And we really welcome and encourage your proposals. And just on the timeline, it will be open, the call for proposals will be open for 6 weeks. So from the end of June to mid-August. So make sure that you're checking your the communications in that time frame. And you can see the timeline there, but there'll be about 6 months really for implementation of the projects. Thank you, Noemi. Sorry, also to mention, we'll have an information session as well on that in mid-July. So if you're interested, make sure to keep an eye on that. So then we're also at the moment, we're very excited that we're piloting this Conscious Food Systems Leadership Program led by the Inner Green Deal, one of our brilliant partners in COFSA. And this is an online 10-week, 6-module introductory program to cultivate inner capacities for regenerative food systems. We're piloting it with a cohort of UNDP food and agriculture colleagues and some COFSA members. We're in the middle of that now. We've got just 1 or 2 sessions left. We're really excited about it, and we think this is a key offer that we want to bring more widely to the members, and also see that this can be great for you to bring into your work, into your projects as well. So if you're interested or you see openings, opportunities in your work to bring this course, then please let us know either by email after this this session or in the chat, and we'd love to explore that. And yeah, you can see kind of some of the objectives here around creating a more holistic approach to food systems, cultivating inner capacities, and looking at how we integrate that into our work in food systems, whilst connecting and collaborating with like-minded change makers. We could go to the next one, please, Noemi. Thank you. So this is another training course that we are excited to be developing, and this is looking much more at local leadership for regenerative food systems, and led by our partners Schumacher College. This curricula is building off the work of the global network of local hubs. So the hubs are sort of place-based sites offering conscious food learning programs, really bringing this, head, hearts and hands learning on the ground. And this, we're really excited to kind of develop this course. We have an overview of modules, and you can see our initial ideas for modules, which you can see some of the topics there around regenerative mindsets, food cultures, how to actually develop and operate a local hub. And yes, again, this is something that's been kind of in the mix, emerging through the Alliance for quite some time, but we will be beginning the sort of convening process to move this forward in September or October. So if you're part of the local hubs and you want to be, part of this work stream going forward, or you're new to the Alliance and you are a local hub yourself, or you want to be involved, please let us know in the chat or by email, so we can make sure to include you in this work stream. And with that, I'll pass over to Luz, our community officer, to talk about the Indigenous Peoples and Traditional Wisdom Dialogue series.
Yes, thank you, Alice. So good morning, everyone. I'm Luz Helena, and I just joined the team. So a pleasure to be here with all of you. So next week, we are starting Indigenous Peoples and Traditional Wisdom Dialogues, and it is a consultation process to understand what would be a conscious food agenda for Indigenous peoples and local communities, and how to identify potential types of intervention. The work is led by Bernard Buri from Ghana, and he's our Indigenous Peoples Engagement Advisor. As you can see, we have two main objectives. So what is this agenda? And also identify specific ways to have a meaningful participation of Indigenous peoples and local communities in COFSA, and also to co-design the project and the program with their own views, right? And the work plan is we have next week, we start with an information session. We will have maybe bilateral consultations, and then we will have dialogues, 3 dialogues between June and September with 15 organizations. And then Bernard will do a short concept note and recommendations for COFSA.
Thank you, Luz. As I've mentioned, we're also developing a research agenda. We discussed that during the retreat. We identified, different research areas, and we have already met once, and we have another meeting at the end of June to beyond this research agenda to see, what is a specific interest of different researchers in COFSA to concretely do. We'll share with this information later, so we can go to the next slide.
Okay, so here are the community activities. So as you know, for any new COFSA member, we do the induction calls. The purpose is just to get to know COFSA, the vision, the mission, the team, and to get to know each other. And you have the chance to ask more questions and get clarification of anything on the challenge fund, for example, or any other work stream you would like to be engaged on. For example, the research group. So those are the upcoming induction call. So you can choose which one suits you best as a time slot. We have 2 in June and 2 in July. The next slide is about the calendar of events. So as you know, we offer each month either a consciousness practice or a collective inquiry. So the consciousness practices are really a way to practice together nature connection, mindfulness, nonviolent communication, and deepen the understanding of those practices and how we can bring into our daily life and work. So we will practice collectively together. The next one will be in September on nonviolent communication, while for the collective inquiry, they are sequences of events. So there is a launching event. So the first one we had was in April on cultivating conscious local communities and cultures for regeneration. And then after this launching event, we have schedule few in-depth sessions to really zoom in on methodologies, tools, case studies that have been proven successful in order to embrace regenerative cultures. And we are going to see them in detail and if there are possibility for adaptation, replication, scaling up. So the next collective inquiry, please, the next slides, will be on farmers' well-being and psychological resilience. So agriculture, as you know, is one of the sectors with the highest suicide rate in the world, and farmers' mental health has so far not received much attention. So that's why we have decided to prioritize this event and this topic, and this event will be a participatory dialogue, so bringing together farmers and organizations working with farmers around the world into our space, and we will discuss and explore together the challenges that farmers are facing and that affect their well-being and psychological resilience. And also we will share some of the innovative initiatives that we have identified and that are providing tailored support to farmers. And then we can decide together how we can support as a COFSA farmers' well-being. And then, yes, the upcoming in-depth sessions that are part of the big collective inquiry that we launched on the 27th of April, Cultivating Conscious Local Communities, are the Empower World View training, which is on the 29th of June by World Vision, and then the Holistic Development training by Opportunity International on the 13th of July. So we'll put in the chat some links so you can register to them. And then, yes, just for practicing and connecting, we have monthly meditation with Satish Kumar. The next one is for the summer solstice on the 20th of June. This one is for in the evening, so 8 p.m. And then we have monthly coffee chats and bi-weekly contemplative practice